September 27th, 2025, a day that will live in infamy for the Orange. Limitless hype mixed with countless questions drifted into a sold-out dome when Syracuse football took on Duke. After a program-changing win over Clemson last week, fans hoped that new quarterback Ricky Collins could keep the train moving. But 40,000 spectators watched in abject horror as SU got derailed 38-3. A poor showing from the new arm mixed with a defense that gave up 500 yards could be summed up by 5 haunting words from head coach Fran Brown. I'm just getting outcoached. We're breaking down this blowout for the next half hour right here on Orange Press Pass. A warm welcome into our CitrusTV studio after a shellacking that Duke handed Syracuse football 38-3 alongside Ben Chadwick and Drew Albaugh. I'm Jish Sokolsky. Fellas, there is probably a lot running through your mind right now after this blowout loss. I just got to know, what's your first thought?
This team looks dysfunctional without Steve Angeli, Drew. It really does. I mean, with Ricky Collins at the helm, they just don't have the same swagger and confidence they played in with Angeli. Like, they had the confidence, the offense had the confidence in Angeli when he was a confidence in him. After team to victory with Ricky Collins out there, he looked rough today. A lot better as the season goes on.
My first thought is simple: outplayed, outcoached, and outworked. You know, sometimes better threes, but not outplayed in almost every facet of the game. Duke over 500 yards of offense, touchdown, outcoached. Fran Brown said it himself. Diaz simply outcoached him at the end of the first half. It continued in the second half and outworked. Duke was simply better at the second chance opportunities all day long. Syracuse really didn't have an answer for Duke this entire football game.
Ben, Drew, those are some pretty chilling first thoughts. That might leave Syracuse fans wondering, what was this game exactly like? Well, we're about to show you, but I don't think you're going to want to look if you're a Syracuse fan. There was a lot of hype going into this game. Syracuse had just beaten Clemson last week, despite being 17.5-point dogs. This week, it's a new quarterback, Ricky Collins, trying to set the tone, and he's picked off. Caleb Weaver returns that one back 40 yards to the Syracuse 45.
That wasn't his only on the day, but his day did not get better whatsoever after that interception either.
His day didn't get better, but Yasin Willis was looking to save the day. Superman-like jump. Gets down to the 5-yard line. Syracuse cashed in with an equalizing 3 points, but Duke showed anything you can do, I can do better. How about Nate Shepard, the true freshman, with this 49-yard touchdown run?
My goodness. Duke was dominant in every facet of the game. Syracuse couldn't run with them. Syracuse couldn't stop them, and Duke outplayed them every single moment.
10-3 after the first quarter. Syracuse working its way back. Jonte Cook, fumble! Ball's on the ground. Initially, a flag flew because of a targeting call. That flag was picked up. It's Duke ball. And what did they do with it? Well, they cashed in. Slant route to the wide receiver, Cooper Barkate. Takes that 34 yards to the Casa. 24-3 the halftime score. Looking pretty scary. A very dysfunctional first half.
And Darian Mensah looked scary against this Syracuse defense. He was an absolute nightmare for the Orange all day long.
Steep hole to climb out of in the second half. Collins finds Cook on an out route. And history repeats itself. Jonte Cook, ball squirts out. Duke takes over again, still 24-3 at this point. It's going from bad to worse for Syracuse.
Syracuse trying to dig out of the first half hole. Instead, in the second half, the hole only got dug even deeper as Duke continued to pile it on.
Even if there wasn't a hole, Nate Shepard would run right through it. That was his second score of the day, but he wasn't alone in the backfield. How about the nightcap? Anderson Castle puts icing on the cake. This 13-yard touchdown run made it 38-3. It was the worst loss in the Dome for Syracuse since 2022 when they lost 38-3 to Florida State. You see the stats right there. Really just an overall deflating performance from Syracuse, and a really great performance. Hats off to guys like Darian Mensah and Cooper Barkate.
All you need to see is the two quarterback performances, Darian Mensah and Ricky Collins. One goes for 268 with 2 touchdowns. One goes for 229 with 2 turnovers, and that is the difference in this ball game, Ben.
And I want to talk about Cooper Barkate as well. He led the Power 4 as the most drops for any receiver in the entire country as well. He looked fantastic out there for the Blue Devils.
It's really kind of a score you had to be there and see to believe. Well, fortunately for Orange Press Pass fans, we have someone who was there and got to watch this game, or should I say maybe had the misfortune of watching this game. Josh Richardson, a reporter, is live in the JMA Wireless Dome. He watched this one front to back, and Josh, I gotta know, you were there at Fran Brown's press conference. What did he put this loss mainly on?
Well, Jish, he put it on himself. That was the biggest takeaway. Is he started off the press conference, he said that this performance was unacceptable. They didn't play well enough to their standards, and he got out-coached. It's exactly what you, Ben, and Drew have all been saying. What he also did was apologize to the Syracuse community. There's been too many apologies from coaches for my liking over the last however many months, 7 or 8 months, from both him, from Adrian Autry. I mean, there's so much bad that kind of has gone on, because when the losses happen, the losses are really bad. And you guys kind of mentioned it. This one was not good. 38-3, and Fran Brown just, the biggest thing was he should have put the players in a much better position. That was his entire takeaway from the press conference, was he needs to do a better job of setting everybody else up for success, because they can't just do it alone. They need to have a leader, and he's been that leader so often through this first year and a half of his career as the SU head coach. He has to do a better job, plain and simple.
And Josh, it's over an hour past the game's end, right? And those chairs and those seats look completely empty behind you. But at the start of the game, they were packed, right? It was an electric atmosphere from what we could tell. But how do you feel like the energy just shifted in this game as it just kept on dragging on?
Yeah, well, Ben, I mean, the seats are all pretty empty at this point behind me, but these seats were also pretty empty by midway through the third quarter, because it was just that kind of a game for Syracuse. At the beginning, it was electric. Yasin Willis's run with the hurdle, the crowd got going. It felt like it came alive. It was a perfect way to respond after the interception and the field goal for Duke. Yasin Willis brought this crowd to life, and then you just can't capitalize. You can't punch it in. You can't find the end zone. That was the biggest plague for Syracuse today, was just not being able to find pay dirt, having to settle for a couple field goals. I mean, or for one field goal. I mean, it just can't happen, and it really just took the life out of this crowd, because as the game progressed, everybody could just kind of tell that this one was not going to go in SU's favor, and a couple people, well, really a lot of people, just wanted to beat the traffic.
One guy that, really went in his favor is running back Nate Shepard for Duke, 168 yards. But Josh, were you more impressed by his dominant performance or more concerned in Syracuse's defensive lapse?
I was more concerned by Syracuse's defense, mainly because it's not the first time that SU has been slashed on the ground. A couple times this year that the Orange have given up 200 yards in the run game. Now, his performance was great. Shepard, a freshman, I mean, he had a fantastic day with 2 touchdowns, but it was everybody, both through the air, a couple of other guys caught touchdown passes. I mean, overall, Duke just put it to Syracuse. There's really no other way to put it. You would have thought that this was a basketball game because of how bad that Duke gave it to Syracuse. The biggest takeaway is that the defense needs to be better. That's something that both Devin Grant and Deuce Chestnut said. As leaders, they need to set the example and set the tone every single day in practice, because that's where the defense starts. It starts and ends with them, and they need to be better. The entire defense needs to be better if SU is going to try and get back in the win column next weekend.
Well, Josh, at least your Red Sox are playoff bound. Syracuse lost this one 38-3. Josh, thank you so much for all your reporting. Coming up on Orange Press Pass, we're diving deeper into this Mariana Trench of a blowout loss. We're talking Ricky Collins and the defense when we return on Citrus TV. Welcome back to our CitrusTV studio alongside Ben Chadwick and Drew Albaugh. I'm Jish Sokolsky, continuing to break down this 38-3 loss that Duke handed to Syracuse. Before we talk any more about this, though, guys, let's take a look around the hill and talk about some of the other Syracuse sports that are going on. Ben, this Syracuse ice hockey team had a very similar fate to the football team.
They really did. A 4-0 ice hockey score is similar to a 38-3 football score, that's for sure. They were forced into a brutal start, right? You're facing the number 5 team in the country against Minnesota Duluth. This is a team that lost a lot of veteran, really talented players last year. There's going to be some growing pains. I'm not too worried about Weiss moving forward, though.
All right, I know you're a big ice hockey guy, Ben. I want to look bottom left and top right of the screen. Field hockey, Syracuse, a big bounce back performance with a 1-0 victory over number 7 Duke. And then the volleyball team, how about it? An ACC play wins 3-1 over the Fighting Irish. A couple of good starts.
And they struggled in ACC play last year, too. That was for sure.
At least one Syracuse team can beat a Duke team. Let's take a look around the nation, though, too. Some really big games going on across the nation. It started last night when Virginia upset number 8 Florida State. That was a wild field rush, wasn't it?
Let's hope everyone's okay, first off, because that was absolutely ridiculous. The game's over, and almost instantaneously, you got 20,000 fans on the field. What a game, a statement win for Virginia. And I'm really looking at Washington versus Ohio State, not just because I'm from over there in the Pacific Northwest, but because this could be one of the biggest upsets in college football.
It really could have been. You mentioned that Florida State field rush, too, or the Virginia field rush, rather. Squirrel White, the Florida State receiver, is he okay? Like, are we sure that he is still breathing and okay after that one? But what I'm looking at is the 7:30 slate tonight. I mean, my goodness, the whiteout, Penn State hosting Oregon, number 3 hosting number 6. You got number 5 Georgia hosting number 17 Alabama. That's a Bama team that needs to get a big win with Kalen DeBoer and his Crimson Tide.
Absolutely. Well, we do unfortunately have to go back to talking about this 38-3 loss. And really, the first person you look at when a team loses this bad is the starting quarterback. This was Ricky Collins' first start of the season. It's his first start in his collegiate career. He didn't quite look that well, Ben. Really, what went wrong for the redshirt sophomore?
Well, what went wrong for Ricky Collins, Drew, is he went against a Manny Diaz defense, right? And that's exactly what went wrong. Manny Diaz and this defense blitzed the passer over, I think, 60% of the time, which is a top 20 mark in the entire country, and Collins just could not handle it. He looked so uncomfortable the entire game. You see that interception. There's a lot of underthrown balls he had as well, a non-contact fumble where he just cocked back to pass and just dropped the football. I mean, it was football 101 stuff that he was messing up against Duke today.
I don't think the pressure was the big thing that really created the problems. Just one sack for Ricky Collins. He could not figure out the single high safety over and over again, throwing into double coverage, and just 9 for 16 in the first half. In the second half, a little bit better, but you got to take it with a grain of salt because Duke's playing a lot of their second string guys. The one thing Ricky Collins was meant to have over Steve Angeli was what? His legs, and he finishes with -8 yards and just 5 rushing attempts.
Well, you see it right there, and Collins, he might have only taken 2 sacks, but that's because he just threw the ball into triple coverage whenever he was about to get sacked. So sure, he got the ball out, but it wasn't to an open receiver or an open man at all. I mean, he forced the ball into horrendous situations.
Now, you guys both kind of alluded to the Ricky Collins interception, the really bad one on the opening drive. That wasn't the only turnover of the game. Syracuse lost the turnover battle today. Drew, how big of a role did that play in this blowout loss?
It was absolutely massive, Jish. 3 fumbles, you only lose a couple of them. You have the big interception from Ricky Collins. Should have had a couple more, to be honest, Ben. I mean, this was absolutely horrific. And if you're trying to get back into a game, it is almost impossible when you keep turning the ball over. Syracuse against Tennessee, a couple of turnovers. What happens? It's a big loss. Duke, 3 turnovers. What happens? A big loss, Ben.
Those Ricky Collins should have been interceptions, or what I like to call turnover-worthy plays, and he had a whole lot of them here in this one. I mean, 3 total fumbles and 1 interception. Not to keep harping on Collins, let's talk about Jonte Cook and his ball carrying. Right, he looked careless out there with the football. Of course, there was that sort of targeting, sort of not call.
That was a
where
big
he kind of got knocked in the head and the ball was punched out. That's a tough one. But then later on as well, the ball was just punched out when he's just holding it outside, not even up to his body. He just seemed careless, as well as this entire Syracuse offense.
Yeah, enough turnovers to open a bakery. I love that line. I'm more of a Danish guy. Cinnamon rolls, a cherry turnover once in a while.
You got me on cinnamon rolls, absolutely.
Sure, but the turnovers, maybe Duke had a few in the morning this time. All right.
You guys got me hungry with all this turnover talk, but you know who was even hungrier? This Duke offense. They were feasting all day on this really pungent Syracuse defense. Kind of stank a Swiss cheese, if you will. A lot of holes in it. So even when Syracuse was turning the ball over, they couldn't really rely on the Orange defense to get those stops. Ben, what really went wrong with the Syracuse defense?
There wasn't a single redeemable part of this defense today in terms of a unit. Was there specific players? I think Antoine Delorier, the freshman, had a very solid game for Syracuse today. But as a unit, the linebacker core did not look good. The defensive line did not look good. Coverage unit did not look good. I mean, you give up over 500 yards and over 230 rushing yards. We're not going to be saying good things about you here in our postgame show at Orange Press Pass. That is for sure. The defense has gotten progressively better as each game has gone on, too, right? It started off rough against Tennessee, and it got better and better and better. They completely collapsed in this one, though.
Completely collapsed. And it's because of one guy I mentioned it when I asked Josh Richardson the question. Nate Shepard, 168 yards. He averaged, get this, 11 yards per carry. You are not going to win a game at this high level in the D1 if their starting running back gives up 11 yards per carry. And in the first and in the second half, we were looking for that big bounce back second half. It didn't happen. Yes, he gave up only 14 in the second half compared to 24 in the first, but it wasn't happening all day long. And it was one guy, Nate Shepard, and I'm sure Jish Sokolsky has a little bit more on that.
You're absolutely right. Not to spoil anything, though, Drew. It's time for our Orange Press Pass Player of the Game. There are plenty of deserving figures for today's honor, but it has to go to the true freshman running back, Nathan Shepard. Came into the day with only 188 rushing yards on the season. How about 15 carries, 168 yards today? That's 11 yards a pop with 2 scores as well. He was the difference maker today, ripping off a big touchdown run in the first quarter, another big one towards the end of the first half, and then the 12-yard score in the second half. We had no choice but to give it to the young stud who absolutely torched Syracuse's defense today. Great job today from the true freshman. A better effort is needed from Syracuse's defense next time. Coming up on OPP, I'm putting my analysts to work. They're getting out of the studio and into the film room to break down some of today's top plays. Don't go anywhere. Plenty more Orange Press Pass when we return.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Orange Press Pass, where Duke just beat Syracuse football 38-3. I'm Jish Sokolsky. Now, you might notice there are 2 members of my crew missing, but they weren't quite far away. It's now time for a segment of The Film Room with Ben Chadwick and Drew Albaugh.
Hey, thanks, Jish. I mean, we got a lot to break down. I wish we could break down every single play. Oh, that was a very fun little intro to us right now. I mean, should we match it with the way we're talking?
Sure, make fun of it.
We got a good play here. No, we won't go that far. But no, we went through a couple plays before when we were showing the highlights of this game, and I think one of them I really want to show you again. We're going to watch it right here as Darian Mensah is the quarterback for Duke. Clapping his hands, getting ready. There, look, he takes the snap, looks downfield, fires downfield, and it's a wide open receiver in the end zone. Cooper Barkate, how was he that open? Well, let's watch it again one more time because there's some things I want to break down.
Yeah, please tell me, Ben.
So here, taking the snap is Mensah once again, and you can watch too as this play goes on, as we play it right here. As this play goes on, Barkate, we'll get the snap right here, there we go. And we're going to pause it right here. You can't really tell, but just off screen, Cooper Barkate is making the freshman corner, Davian Kerr, stumble all over the place. Right? I mean, he is not getting his footing whatsoever. He's in one-on-one coverage, and it is a disaster class for Syracuse. And the worst part is there's no high safety either for Syracuse, which is how Stanford beat the Orange last year. Now you could say, why didn't they learn from their mistakes? I wish I could tell you. But as we let the play resume right here, you can see why Barkate was so wide open right there. Davian
wide
Kerr,
open.
Nowhere even near him. I mean, it was just pitiful from the entire Orange defense today.
All right, we talked about the Orange defense. I want to transition over to the Orange offense and the man of the hour, maybe, kinda, Ricky Collins, because his very first drive, let's play the footage right here. So he's having a nice drive, working things out of the shotgun. Pressure comes, Wesley Williams, and oh my goodness. How bad was that? Wide open to Weaver, the safety in single high coverage. There was no one in the vicinity of that football. Let's get a quick pause once again. Ricky Collins looking downfield, going through his progressions. Not really. Doesn't look to the right, doesn't look to the left. Williams is flying around the edge. Let's play it again. Pressure in his face, throws a duck. And yeah, Justice Ross Simmons isn't going to get that one if he did a 5-foot hook route. This was a game where Ricky Collins maybe looked a little bit better as time progressed, but on the very first drive, talk about like living up to the billing of being a turnover QB. He lived up to it there.
And something they talked about with our friends over at Q's Countdown in a live show right on the quad, right outside the dome. It was a really cool sight to see. But they talked about Ricky Collins. Hey, maybe the one redeemable factor about him is that huge arm he's got, right? He's got a massive
arm.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I mean, he was doing underthrow after underthrow after underthrow today. It just seemed like he had no confidence in his accuracy, and he was more afraid of overthrowing receivers than he was of actually hitting them on target.
And I think confidence is the thing that you mentioned. He does have the big arm. He's got the guns.
Exactly.
He doesn't have the confidence. He doesn't have the brains right now. Now, I will say, Steve Angeli against Tennessee didn't look all too great, Ben. So maybe we give Ricky Collins a little bit of time, but 3 points without a touchdown in the heart of the ACC schedule, in one of the toughest schedules in all of college football, Ricky Collins does not have much time to figure it out.
Well, depending on who you ask, fortunately or unfortunately for the Orange, they don't have a choice but to give Ricky Collins time. It seems like he's going to be the starter for the rest of the entire season here for Syracuse.
Yeah, and there was one big turning point in this game. And Jish, was it a turnover also?
You know, it didn't seem like a turnover thanks to the initial calling on the field, but as it turns out, nothing could go right for the Orange. In a blowout loss, you have to know that the turning point came early on in the game. It comes right here. Ricky Collins does overthrow the receiver a little bit, but Jonte Cook fumbles this football. Now, if you look on it slowly, it kind of looks like he got hit in the head, and that's exactly what the referee saw as well, hence why a flag was thrown. Take another look. Great high point there. He's coming down, gets hit in the head there. Flag flies for targeting. They pick up that flag, and because the ball was out when his knee was on a defender's cleat, that's a live ball picked up by Duke. At that point, it was already a 2-score game. Duke capitalized it and scored another touchdown before halftime. You have to look at this play as the reason the tides really shifted from a slight Duke advantage to a complete Duke advantage. After this play, the Blue Devils never looked back and absolutely buried the Orange. Coming up on Orange Press Pass, we're finally flushing this game. We'll take a look at some of our score predictions from before the game and see how well those held up. Don't go anywhere. Orange Press Pass returns after this.
Hey Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
We are wrapping up shop here on Orange Press Pass after Duke obliterated Syracuse 38-3 alongside my analysts Ben Chadwick and Drew Albaugh. I'm Jish Sokolsky. Now, what's really unique about this situation is there was a live Cuse countdown before the show. All three of us were featured on it in some way or another, and we had to give our score predictions. Look away if you want to uphold any of mine or Drew's credibility, but Ben, you have a lot to brag about here, I guess.
Look at that block blue D right in the center.
Come
Who would
on.
have thought? Who would have thought? I mean, you put Ricky Collins in.
You're kidding.
He's the guy that Syracuse brought in, saw him practice, and said, "Nope, we're gonna go out there and get Steve Angeli."
By the way,
nope. Go ahead.
This is coming from the same guy who said Nico Iamaleava should transfer to Syracuse. Isn't that what you said?
Did you not watch Ricky Collins today, and you're saying you don't want Nico Iamaleava?
I don't want him.
Roll Blue Devils.
Get
It was
that
always,
outta here.
it was always, dude,
Come on.
all day long. They proved me right. I mean, it was the easiest choice in the world.
Ben, you had a 34-31 Duke win. And
Duke
you're
win nonetheless.
proclaiming to the skies that you got this prediction correct?
I did.
I mean, you got correct
Yeah,
by the
you
win
said
total.
Syracuse was going to score 30 points.
I did 3 points for Syracuse.
I also said Syracuse was going to score 40 points, if you remember. So I'm not even going to begin to go even further in that. Ricky Collins is going to be the quarterback for the foreseeable future. Let's see what those games might be. Next, it's at SMU, a pretty confusing team. They won the ACC last year, but haven't really got off to the strongest start. But then again, Syracuse hasn't today either.
It's going to be a tough game to really analyze, as are all of these. Clemson, I thought Syracuse was going to lose. Duke, I thought SU was going to win. SMU, kind of a coin toss, as is Pitt, as is Georgia Tech, as is UNC. This schedule could really go either way, and if Syracuse wants to get to a bowl game, these next 4 games are going to dictate that for the Orange.
I think it absolutely will. I think 2-2 is the dream for Syracuse in these 4 games right there. They're not incredible teams, but after watching Syracuse today against Duke, now there's the Orange.
We've got just about 3 more minutes on Orange Press Pass, and you've heard Drew and Ben talk a lot, but you haven't heard them get really angry. That's what this next segment is for. It's time to sound off.
And boy, do I love getting angry when it comes to Syracuse football. Look, it might not be a popular opinion given the success in SU's first 4 games, but it needs to be said. Syracuse will not make a bowl game. Today showed just how important Steve Angeli is to this team. The receivers trusted him to put the ball in the right spot, and the defense played with more confidence knowing their offense would put up numbers. Now it's all crumbling down. I can guarantee you 3 losses against Georgia Tech, Miami, and Notre Dame, and after that, it's all 50-50 games. If Steve never gets hurt, I'd say this team wins 5 more games. But with Ricky, I don't see them winning more than 2. If I'm a Syracuse fan, my eyes are set on 2026.
All right, Ben, let me set the scene. A 3-1 Syracuse squad, fresh off a demolition down in Death Valley, has an opportunity to cement SU as the class of the ACC. And the Orange Faithful, well, they show out in full force. Over 40,000 fans packed the Dome for just the second sellout in the Fran Brown era. But what happens? Syracuse gets humiliated. Not only did the Orange lose by 35 points, the largest loss in 2 years, but they failed to score a touchdown for the first time since Dino Babers was at the helm. The result, a once electric environment turns into a deflated dome.
And coming up on Orange Press Pass next week, it's another combined Cuse Countdown and Orange Press Pass with their coverage starting an hour before game time, which is at noon. We have an 8 o'clock show on Orange Press Pass on October 4th. That's coming up. Ben Chadwick will be on that one as well. So if you like him, you're in luck. This was really a fun show to break down. Not a fun game to break down, but I'm glad I got to do it with you, Ben Chadwick, and you, Drew Albaugh. Any last final quick words?
I'm glad I just got to gloat at the end. That is my favorite thing in the world.
And gloat about a score line that you got completely wrong other than the result. Okay.
All right, a big thank you to our executive producer, Perrin, all of the producing staff, and everybody who came down to help with the show. I'm Jish Sokolsky saying so long. Duke beats Syracuse 38-3. Have a good night, Syracuse.